How you doing? It's the Butcher here, this time with another Destiny 2 video. And I did a video previously kind of going over the new player experience. Now I've had a decent amount of time in the game and I wanted to kind of go over the mid-game experience, and I'll get to what I think that is. Not fully end-game yet, because you do have to be very strong to tackle some of the end-game activities and have a lot of knowledge, which stuff I'll get to, but I want to talk about really what I would consider the kind of mid-game as you start to come into your own with your characters in some cases, and what that entails. So first thing I want to note, something that's kind of like a mid-game thing to me, is I want to experiment with some of the other different classes. So I started out as a hunter, which you can see here, but I also have created a Titan and a Warlock, and so there's this thing right here, which I don't fully understand. It seems very pay to win. Okay, well now it says it allows you to just like skip and unlock strand, and it like boosted your power or something like that. And I guess I got them to enough power. When I first started them, I clicked that because I didn't know what it was. And you could basically pay the equivalent of like $20 to just like up your character. And that's a little bit pay to win to do. I'm gonna have to go and unlock strand on both of these. I am gonna make a video on what classes I think new players should play, but I do need more time with the Titan and the Warlock. I think I've experienced a lot of Hunter, all the subclasses and everything like that, but these two I have not. But yeah, so there is that thing I just do want to mention. But as far as getting the power level up on my other characters, it was super easy. So you can see these are both at 1800 already, and that includes the the seasonal power boost, which I think I'm at like plus 14 now or something like that. But also just getting gear, you can use weapons from your other character, you can slot them right in. And then as far as getting gear, once you're able to, if you have a bunch of those engrams saved up, at least this is what I did, I don't even know if this is the best method, I was able to just buy a bunch of focus gear, and able to pretty much just deck out my character up to 800, and it was really easy. It was all done. You do have to complete the beginning quest, which is really annoying, up to a certain point to start unlocking subclass and stuff. That's really annoying, but it doesn't take that long. But within a few hours, I had both these characters at 800 power level, which was really nice. And then as far as the swag, I got all of them. I got all of this for Bright Dust. I don't know exactly if this is just since the Guardian games are going on, but you can actually buy a bunch of this armor with the Bright Dust, which is the currency you earn. And I did buy the paid battle pass, and I think I got a decent amount of Bright Dust from there, but just earning it, you'll definitely have enough for one, at least two. I was able to get enough for all three. So I have them looking pretty cool in my opinion. So that's nice. So making alts seems to be okay so far. The only thing is you do have to get exotics and stuff to make different builds for these alts, and that requires you to do a bunch of farming for that. So that is pretty annoying. But overall, the alt making experience, at least for me, wasn't too bad. So now let's jump into my hunter. This is like my main character. This is the one I played and leveled up, and pretty much how I was able to do most of what I was with the other characters. But let's jump in. And there's several things I want to talk about in mid-game. So let's just hop in the tower right now. But the things I really consider mid-game, in my opinion, are Nightfalls. So I would consider the Grandmaster Nightfalls probably more end-game. And you can correct me if I'm wrong. This is just from my experience so far. But Nightfalls, dungeons, not raids. Raids are something I'll get to. And then I think I want to talk about PvP as well too within that. So as far as Nightfalls go, they are fun. My biggest problem with them though is if I want to run several of them in a day, it's the same one over and over again. And that goes for both. So we have this special Guardian Games one right now. But then if you also go over here and you just do a regular Nightfall, at least to me, it's been the same one every time unless I'm missing something. But it's been just the same one over and over again. It changes every day. But I don't know why there isn't more of a rotation or just random, especially in this one. I would get it for the Guardian Games one right here. That makes more sense. But that's been a little bit frustrating because that's probably my favorite activity to do. But as far as the experience in them, I think they're fun. They do get a little bit repetitive. but you do get decent rewards from it. I'm able to, constantly kind of upgrade my gear and stuff like that. And as I'm learning more, my character's getting more powerful. I kind of got a build set up in my hunter, partly through just kind of my own doing, and then I also saw, like, I looked up a video of kind of what to do, but I found this thing and I wanted to use it, and this was something I found from like a video. This is something I know is good, but it's been a lot of fun using the Celestial Nighthawk and the Marksman Golden Gun. From the very beginning, before I knew how powerful Solar was in the season, it was already my favorite one, trying them all out, even before I kind of went in blind. So that's been very fun, actually getting into a build, something that you can min-max and things like that. My armor is not very good. I'm just really trying to upgrade. I'm finally starting to understand what like spiky armor is, like having high stats that you want, basically. So for me, I really want resilience and I really want intellect. Recovery would also be nice too. But yeah, that's something I'm working on. It's something that's newer. But as far as Nightfalls go, they are relatively easy for me. There feels like there's a bit of a gap between, like, if I open up this, and you could tell, I guess, by the power level even, but Nightfall is recommended 770, and Grandmaster is 1840. Now, 1840 seems incredibly difficult to get up to. Maybe not if you've been playing for a long time, but I would like, and this might be just personal preference, something in between these two. So there are other activities that are, I don't think they're considered Nightfalls, but if you go over to the Dreaming City, there are things like, I think it's in the Dreaming City. Or no, maybe it's in the Helm, sorry. I believe it's this. Yeah, so this is like 1810, so I don't think I've done this one this week. But that's kind of in the middle. I like to see more of that, maybe in the Nightfall category, somewhere in between Nightfall and Grandmaster Nightfall. Could be kind of nice, but there are other activities, I guess. Arena, I guess, another one. I haven't done too much of these, honestly, but from what I have done, they're okay. Again, they do get pretty repetitive, especially with these, because you're running down basically the same thing over and over again. So that is what it is. But Nightfalls overall have been pretty enjoyable, with some, concerns about them. But I could easily see them getting less enjoyable the more that I do them. So the second thing I want to talk about is dungeons. So I've done a couple dungeons. I think it was Prophecy and another one I don't exactly remember. I don't have the Witch Queen or the Lightfall dungeon key, so I can't do any of those. I don't know if I'm going to get them or not. I forget. I forget which one I did. It was Prophecy and another one. Anyway, so this is where it starts to get interesting too as a solo player. So Nightfalls have matchmaking on them. This actually doesn't say it, but I believe it does, and I know for sure this one does. Okay, so the other one doesn't have matchmaking, actually. Sorry. But this one has matchmaking, which is really nice. It'll start you in with people. Sometimes not so nice, sometimes it stink or whatever. But for the most part, that's nice. So, but once you get into, I thought there was for regular Nightfalls too, but maybe I'm wrong. I've been running a lot of those Guardian games once. Maybe I just forgot. But once you get into dungeon stuff, it will not have matchmaking. So, for example, here's one I did, was Prophecy. And so what you have to do is you have to find a group here. Search for a listing, or you make your own listing for dungeons. You can see the ones I have. Maybe that was the other one I did. I don't remember. But you can, find a group here or make one. I was able to, both for this and when I tried raids, get into a group. It is a bit of a mess, to be honest. It's pretty tough as a solo player. I do wish that there was, and I'm not sure why there's not, why there isn't just an option just do matchmaking here and just go in. I know these a lot of times require communication. They are a little bit difficult to understand, but I was able to understand the dungeon relatively easily. But I wish there was a matchmaking function, at least for dungeons. I understand the raids, but I think it could work for dungeons, especially with people that are experienced with them, could easily fly through. And if they don't want to do matchmaking, they want to play with their own people or solo, then so be it. But I wish there was a matchmaking option for these, not just a fire team finder. But the actual dungeon itself, like I said, it took me a little bit to kind of figure out what's going on, but it wasn't too tough. The actual gameplay I thought was pretty fun. If I remember this one specifically, this is like the Heaven and Hell one or something like that. So you got to grab the emotes, the light and dark emotes, and put them in the right thing. It's pretty good. It was pretty fun. It was challenging. It took like the appropriate amount of time, I think. I don't know. It took us like 40 minutes or so to get through it. That's probably way longer than it should have. But, I was a rookie and the other people were nice and, like, helped me out. But, yeah, so dungeons are pretty fun in my opinion. Like I said, at least the two I did, it takes you a little bit to understand. I think the other one was, I forget the name of it, that other one that was up there. But once you understand it, it's pretty simple. And I think the rewards I got at the end were pretty good. It was pretty satisfying gameplay experience and all. However, I did try raids. I think it was the Wish's End one. It's the one I tried. Now that's a whole different ballgame. That is confusing as hell. And I tried it twice. Okay, I tried it with one group. I was completely letting them down. I didn't know what I'd be doing. And then I watched a video on it. It was like a 30-minute video to figure out all the steps in there and what to do. And I went in with another group, and there was one guy like explaining it to the whole group, and it was taking like forever. I just left. I couldn't be bothered. So raids are really something. You're going to need a fire team, and it is really endgame content. It's like super intricate. The gameplay itself I didn't think was overly hard. Maybe that's just because I wasn't doing it on like a hard difficulty or something. It's over here. Where was on? Sorry. It's was it you? Yes, it was you. So maybe this seems like an easier one actually. So that's probably why I was having a hard time with the actual gameplay. But figuring out, like, you have to stand on these tiles, or you have to, you can pick up 2 of these things, but you can't pick up more than 2. If you guys have played it, you know what I'm saying. But it's very confusing, and it's very tough on a new player. And especially if you don't have, like, a dedicated group, which I don't. Like, my friends don't play Destiny at the moment. Someone invited me to a clan that I joined, but I just didn't do the fire team finder. It is very difficult. It is something you will want to have probably communication on for, but it is extremely difficult to get into. So, like I said, dungeons, I think you can do as a mid-game activity. I think you're fine using the fire team finder. I do wish there was a matchmaking option. Raids, though, I would consider them endgame. Too tough for a player that's in my state right now, my kind of Destiny experience to get into. Now, kind of the last thing I want to talk about here, and I know there's other activities and stuff too. You can, do bounties, and you can replay missions on like legendary difficulty and do some of the stuff over here like this Vex incursion zone and things like that, lost sectors and stuff. But Lost Sectors, I think it's like 840 recommended, so that's more endgame too to do the harder version of it. But that stuff is all good, and there's more to it. I'm just kind of talking about like the main things. But the other last thing I wanted to talk about is the PvP experience. So that's going to include both Gambit and Crucible. I know Gambit's it's like a hybrid PvE and PvP, and that is what it is, but I think that's really fun. And then there's Crucible. So I'm going to start with Crucible. So I haven't played too much of it yet, honestly. So what I've mainly been playing when I have played Crucible is the one for the Guardian games, which is Supremacy. So my biggest problem with Crucible at the moment is after my first few games, I was like frying, and then I think there's some sort of SBMM. I'm sure there is. It's in every game. I got started putting in better lobbies. I'm getting incinerated, and part of it's because I am pretty good at FPS games for the most part, and like Halo, like a game that's very similar, Halo Infinite, I reached Onyx rank, highest rank. Call of Duty, like both the ranked and Warzone, I was able to reach highest ranks in that. So I am good at FPS games. I'm not the best by any means, but my biggest issue with PvP is for a new player, it's very confusing what gear and weapons you want. It's more specifically the rolls on it. So this stuff is important, I think, for PvE too, but it's much less important. You can more kind of just rely on like a build and how it works with like ignitions and scorching and things like that, at least for what I'm running with solar. And you're pretty fine with like the rolls. Obviously, I kind of know what armor rolls I want now. But for PvP weapons, it's very hard to know which weapon is even good. You have to look up videos, which I haven't gotten too into because I have no idea really what weapon's good. I think some assault rifles are. I think some pulse rifles are. Sometimes I'm getting shotgunned, and I don't even understand how they have shotgun ammo all the time. There's no special ammo. I don't know. It's very confusing for me. And then more specifically, when you go in depth into it, they talk about the rolls on here. So when you get a piece of gear, it'll drop like a lot of MMO games or looter shooters or ARPGs, and it'll have different rolls on it. So as you can see, this says like low impact, high range. I'm not sure what this specifically rolls as. And then it's got rolls in terms of what kind of like perks it has on it too. So just as a new player, you're getting all this stuff. It's very hard to tell. You got to look at videos, and then you got to look at what rolls you want. So if you dismantled something because it was lower power, it's just very confusing. And like I said, I'm getting incinerated by people probably because of my resilience. This is actually higher than it's been. It was down to like 3 for a while. That didn't help at all, I don't think. I was doing no damage, hitting all my shots, headshots, was just not doing enough damage for the most part. So that's been pretty tough for me. And I know you can jump in PvP right away and do the Crucible right away, and I guess the Trials of Osiris too, which are kind of like a more endgame Crucible-esque type of thing. But as a newer player, kind of moving into like the mid-game progression of this, it's still very hard to jump into kind of any type of competitive PvP, in my opinion. What's not as difficult, though, is the Gambit, which I absolutely love personally. I think this is a ton of fun. I could definitely see this getting repetitive because there's only, at least as far as I've done, a few maps. There's not like a ton of maps. But what basically this is it's like PvEVP. So you go in there, if you've played it, you know what it is, but for people that haven't and are thinking about jumping in, so you go in and you have to kill a bunch of monsters, things, whatever, enemies, and basically you'll get these kind of, again, these little things you pick up, and you'll dump them into a bank, and it'll send like blockers over to the other team so they can't use their bank, but you also fill it up, and once you get to like 100, you'll spawn like a strong boss basically at the end. And once you're able to do that, also once you do that, what you're able to do as well too is you can have people, I think it's only one person at a time, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but they can go over into the other people's kind of PV area and be like an invader, almost like Dark Souls-esque, and try to take down some of them. And every time they kill someone, they replenish the boss's health and things like that, and they gotta wait to respawn. So there's this cool element of this PvEVP, and I think Gambit is a lot of fun. And something, especially as, like I said, a newer to kind of like mid-game-esque player now, this is something I have a lot of fun with. I can take my normal kind of PvE build into there. I don't have to care about all these weapon rolls and what's good. Obviously there is a little bit of that PvP element as well too, but for the most part it's fine if you're just using whatever you're using in PvP. And it's just a lot of fun, and this is something I definitely recommend you checking out. Even as maybe a newer player, I wish I jumped in this sooner, but definitely kind of in the mid-game, once you have your build kind of fleshed out a little bit and you're doing Nightfalls and some dungeons and things like that, Gambit is a great option to jump into. So that's been my experience in what I would consider the mid-game, at least for me. And it's been pretty enjoyable. There are definitely some drawbacks, but for the most part, it's been pretty enjoyable. And I'm excited to see as I go forward and get into the end game, if I can start getting into raids and things like that. I'll probably have a separate video on that. That might take me some time to actually get there. But my next video is going to be going over kind of which class to pick from a new player perspective, if that makes sense. I know there's a lot of videos, which class should you pick? A lot of those people have been playing for a really long time, and their perspective is great too, but I thought I would give mine as well as pretty much a brand new player. So I do need some more time with the classes, but that will probably be my next Destiny video. So I hope you guys did enjoy. I hope you guys do enjoy a little bit of Destiny content along with my other ARPG, MMO type content, Diablo, a lot of its focus. But it's fun. It's been fun for me right now, and If you don't enjoy it, let me know. If you do, also let me know. And I'll look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Peace.